The peace of the Lord be with you. Welcome to Inner Reformation. My name is Tessa. Let's spend some time together. Today we're going to rest. And also I will probably share some stories with you. By the way, it is exceedingly hot today. So just sitting here is quite an effort. I've already made it through half my water. It is very overwhelming. But as you can tell, I'm in the shade, and that brings up, I won't talk about this first, but I want to talk a little bit about the series that I just did, and you're welcome to view. I'll include it in the description, links in the description. But basically, the series, guys, came about by the most wild way. As I shared in a few videos ago, there's the sound of the blue jay. Totally distracted right now. Okay. So the story that I just wanted to tell you today as we spend time together in this heat, is that last time for the last video that I filmed for the series, The Journey to My Full Voice, in that last video, I was filming by these trees, these evergreen trees, and it's just such a beautiful setting to me. And I'm very close to that spot that I was filming at, last time when I filmed. And I wanted to just tell you about the location of where I filmed. So I come to this park frequently. I love being here. It's very soothing and comforting, a meaningful place to come. And I was walking with one of my closest friends and a person who has been a tremendous godsend to me. We were walking in this park, and his name is Joshua. If you see some of my earlier videos on YouTube, you'll see Joshua and meet Joshua. But so Joshua was telling me how he would come to this park as a boy because he apparently grew up near this gorgeous park. But anyway, so he would come to this park, and he told me, I was commenting on how beautiful these trees are here. And like, you can't see it here, but like some of their branches are just like magnificent, the way they just like branch out and hang. They're just like, wow, so pretty. But anyway, so Joshua said, I was commenting on the beauty of the trees as we walked past, and Joshua said, oh yeah, I used to come here and I would climb that tree. And he was trying to find the tree, and he found that tree and that tree right there. And I'll tell you what, that ended up being the place. That ended up being the place where I ended up filming the part 4 video to The Journey to My Full Voice. And why I'm telling you this is because for a few reasons. I don't think there is anyone in my life, besides sort of the own work that I've put into my healing throughout the years. I don't think there is anyone in my life who has had such great skill at allowing me to be healed, allowing me to be spiritually healed, as Joshua. For many years, I prayed. Basically, my prayer was, please lead me to the best. And I would pray this, not just regarding, I would pray this regarding a few different facets of my life, right? But specifically, I was asking the Lord to please lead me to somebody who actually can deal with my story in a way that is like exceptional, who has the skill to be able to actually help me. Because I always sensed that in my story that there are probably few people on this planet who could actually really help help. And that's not to make my story sound more grand than what it is. I'm just telling you that the spiritual events that happened to me, I've searched the world over, all right? Like I've literally been searching for years to hear stories and stuff like that. And I've felt very alone and isolated regarding what happened to me many years ago, spiritually speaking. And so I just, as I said, was praying for years and years, please lead me to the best, which is essentially lead me to the best person or best people or best group or whatever it is. Lead me to the best resources or that will help me to heal, because I am so, like my body was so scared of everything that had happened, and I didn't know how to process it completely because the theology that I grew up with and that I studied, well, it's part of what led to the trauma, the spiritual trauma. That's a story for another time. But anyway, so Joshua was eventually, and it took years to be led to Joshua, years. It took literally 19 years to be led to Joshua. I kid you not. But anyway, eventually I was led to Joshua, and Joshua, like an expert, was able to parse through, able to weed through my entire life's narrative and all of the spiritual events that happened to me. And he was able to help me finally to feel basically kind of fully seen, to be absolutely, completely heard, and basically to validate what had been happening to me for so long spiritually. And so the reason why I bring up this story of filming under the tree for my last part 4 video on the journey to my full voice is because knowing that Joshua, one of my closest, dearest people in my life, who saved my life in many ways, knowing that he grew up as a little boy in this park, climbing the tree that I was literally filming by, it helped me to feel so strong. And what I mean by that is when you begin a series and it starts out with you struggling and you feeling afraid that you can't get out what is within you because you're so afraid that the people you love will hate you and that you'll lose everything if you tell. Not because I did wrong things. I literally just had stuff happen to me that was crazy, right? Spiritual stuff that was crazy. But anyway, it just made me feel so strong being in that place where Joshua as a boy was there and climbing a tree and mastering that tree, if you will. It just made me feel like I can close this series with strength, not with fear. And I just wanted to tell you that. I wanted to tell you about my friend Joshua, and I wanted to tell you about how he's brought healing to me and how just having someone or something, in your life that kind of grounds you, if you will, not to sound cliche, but, it helps you to step into your full voice. It helps you to step into your full voice because they see who you are and they know you're authentic. Again, not to sound cliche, but they know you're being genuine, right? And it helps you to become the person that you are designed to be. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that story. And who knows, maybe I'll start filming in this area more. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's certainly lovely. So let me tell you the final story, okay? Okay, so the final story that I just wanted to share with you on this kind of day is I probably won't be able to at all share the full story or the full scope of the story, but basically, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the Blue Jays and why do they have significance like in my life to some degree, right? So because if I had to guess, I think they're gonna keep showing up. I don't know. They might cease, like, but they seem to really like this park. Okay. Like, in other words, I spend a decent bit out of time outside, and like, I used to go to, for years, went to a park near my home that, oh my gosh, it is like, I say about that park, it is all prayed up. Like, I have spent hours at that park praying and praying and praying and praying, like, you know, uh, but I don't think I think, yes, in fact, that's where, that's part of where the Blue Jay saga began, as a matter of fact. But other than that, like, that was like one time. But anyway, yeah, so this park, they seem to like to be here. So anyway, we might continue to see them. This was not my plan, by the way. I mean, like, anyway, so let me just tell you, because I'll tell you what's part of my, like, the Cardinals, that's where it's out. That's where it's at. Like, the Cardinals, the Cardinals, that's where it is, right? Anyway, I cannot tell you the story about the Cardinals, but I want to just focus on the Blue Jay a little bit because, okay, so here's some of the backstory. Many years ago, many years ago, I received a gift, like a parting gift or a wedding gift, right? When you leave a wedding, sometimes like the bride and groom will give gifts, right? Small gifts of thank you for coming, right, to our wedding. Anyway, so I received a gift, and the gift was of two little birds, and these birds were painted in Peru, and so they're little Peruvian birds. They're the cutest things. They're little ceramics that are just like gorgeously, they're just so delicate and lovely. And one bird is red and one bird is blue. And they have been sitting in my windowsill pretty much ever since I've lived in the current house that I live in. They have been sitting in that windowsill all this time. And I do dishes by hand. And so every time I do the dishes, I see those birds. And sometimes I don't notice them too much, right? But what I can say is that for all the years that I've lived there, which is well over a decade, I've seen these birds and have been cognizant of these little beautiful ceramic birds in my window, right? And so in my heart, because of the spiritual experiences that have happened to me throughout the years, I've always known that these little birds are a little bit special. Like, I don't really know how to say that other than they're meaningful to me. And I knew that I had a specific goal or plan in mind with these birds. If the spiritual events were ever fulfilled in my life that the Lord made known to me many years ago. So I've had these birds there, and I've had this intention, a quiet intention, mind you, but a very quiet and subtle intention that if the spiritual events ever became fulfilled that the Lord revealed to me many years ago, that I know what I'm going to do with those birds and the purpose of why they're there. I need a pause. I'm not going to tell you, excuse me, I'm not going to like share with you that intention because that's private between me and God. But what I can say in relation to the Cardinals, and by extension in relation to the Blue Jay, is that well over a year ago, some very unexpected, I will highlight very, like hugely, like big, some very, very, very unexpected events began to happen with birds well over a year ago. And these experiences, they happened, about 7 experiences that were they were unreal. And so by that point, I knew, okay, by the end of those 7 experiences, I knew that these occurrences that were happening with the birds were related to the little birds in my windowsill. As this was happening, I kid you not, someone who I was once very close with came to my home, came to the town where I live around that same time. I think the birds started happening before that person arrived. Absolutely, yes, like a number of months. I didn't know that person at all was going to come to my town, let alone stay in my town. So that person is still in my town. And that's not at all the point of why I'm telling you about the birds. But the reason why I'm telling you that is because in this whole bird, I'll just call it the bird saga, but it's not about, like, it's this beautiful bird story. Like saga doesn't have to mean something negative, right? I don't think so. It might. But this is very positive, okay? The story of the birds related to the cardinals is exceedingly positive. I'm very happy about it. I'm happy about the cardinals. They make me happy. Anyway, part of why I'm filming here today is because a beautiful female cardinal was chirping here, so I came here to film. But anyway, this person, as I was sharing, moved to my town. This person and I are absolutely no longer close, period. And I kid you not, I kid you not, that any time, which was not very often, when that person first came to the town, I tried to stay away from the home to an extent, right, where this person was. But any time that I came close to the home, I kid you not, that a blue jay would start squawking at me. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, in other words, like, this has never happened in my life before, or at least that I've certainly never noticed. And so, as I said, all these bird things are happening, right? That it began happening months before, related to the cardinal, okay? Related to the cardinal, okay? And again, keep in mind that up on my windowsill, I have a red bird and I have a blue bird, okay? So anyway, so I go near where this person is living because I'm dropping off my children near or at this location. Anyway, so the blue jay, as I said, it just starts basically squawking and assaulting me, like verbally, or like, I don't even know how to, chirping, like it's chirp assault. But anyway, so it starts chirping at me, right? And like, that's when like I start going, good grief, like what? Like what? Okay. But it didn't, as I said, it didn't just happen once. Like, there was this occurrence like multiple times every time I was there, right? Or near there. So let me pause again. So why this is particularly funny to me is because, again, the cardinal is where it's at. The cardinal is consolation. It's beautiful. And again, sometime I'll tell you the fuller story of the cardinals and the beauty of that and comfort that I've received from the cardinal. But anyway, yeah. So what was hilarious was, here I come and I know that I'm supposed to be filming for this new season of Reformation and sharing on YouTube, right? And I come to this gorgeous, beautiful park that holds a lot of meaning for me. I love being here, as I said. But anyway, I come here to this park, and what do you know? There's the blue jay, right? And like, I had already set up to well, actually, no, I think I walked up to the tree and saw the blue jay and just started cracking up because it's like, well, there it is. Well, I don't want to be afraid of it, right? I don't want to, because again, this blue jay seems to signify this awful thing in my life that I've been dealing with for many years now, for many, many years now. Yeah, like for many, many years of this thing in my life that has just been so awful for me. Anyway, so I thought, okay, well, I'll just start filming near this blue jay because this is something that I have to make peace with in my life one way or another, right? And I deeply want peace regarding in my life one way or another, you know, like I just want peace. So why I'm sharing this with you is because I just want you to know a little bit of backstory, I guess, of how this like story with the blue jay has been unfolding. And it's been hilarious and at times very annoying at this park to come film. I mean, not terribly. I've greatly enjoyed filming at this park, but like one instance where I literally prepared to film. It took like 15, 20 minutes to set up to film and everything was going okay. And literally there were cardinals there and they were like sweetly singing to me. Like it was so beautiful. And I kid you not, right as I was going to press record, there was more than one. Blue jays come in and they just start squawking, like creating this ruckus. And it's like, what is your deal? Like, what? Well, like, why? Like, what? Anyway, so I've been trying, as I said, trying to like make peace with the blue jay here. And many peaceful and beautiful moments have happened, as you've seen on camera. It's not like, you know, I don't write out in my notes, cue the blue jay, the squawking blue jay. Cue the sunning blue jay. Ooh, ah. Like, I have no idea that these things are going to happen. Like, I also did not know, I did not know that that person would move near me in my town and not leave. Like, I didn't know any of those things, right? I didn't know that the birds on my windowsill would come to correlate or point to the cardinal and or a blue jay, or not, it's not or, and a blue jay. Anyway, like I didn't know those things, right? At all. But it's just something you sense inside you. And then what do you know? Your life story begins to unfold like that. And you're like, okay. Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so I guess me and the blue jay are going to try to become friends here at this beautiful park if it keeps showing up. But that's all the story regarding the blue jay related to the actual birds themselves. I hope that made sense. Anyway, I hope you're slightly amused by this because I've been totally amused by it, as I said, it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, but sometimes it makes me very, very like, how dare you? Get away. Anyway, so, but most of all, I'm amused. So, okay, that's that. Okay, I think we'll try to close up our video for today, our time together for today. I hope this was somewhat restful. Hopefully it was, I don't know, a bit, I don't know, joyful or entertaining. I love stories and storytelling and reading stories and telling stories and dancing, you know, like I just, yeah. Stories are part of how I've survived, hearing people's stories to help me get through, right? But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this time together. Again, if you want to see my full series on the journey to my full voice, I'll include the links in the description. Regarding what's coming up, I might still take some weeks off just to be resting from that series because it did take a lot out of me, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and a lot of courage, frankly. Because using your voice, for me at least, it always takes a significant amount of courage. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going to be fully coming up for us, but I do want to say, please, if you would be so kind as to like this video, that would really help out as I seek to get YouTube started and beginning. Also, if you would subscribe, that would also be great because, yeah, to go further and further on YouTube, obviously you have to have some subscribers. So please like, subscribe, and please leave a comment. You know, an encouraging comment would be wonderful as I seek to continue to seek peace in life. And so I'd appreciate any loving comments along the way. That would be really heartwarming. Beyond that, I will just go ahead and say thank you for spending time with me today. I'm I have been loving doing this. I've been loving filming and editing the videos and putting them together. And it's been a true, like, I've really enjoyed it. So I hope we can continue being together, and I will see you soon. And I send you lots of love, and of course I send you a hug. And okay, I'll let you go now. Bye.